So, hi everybody, and welcome to Conversations with Coaches on Shameless Explorations. I'm excited to have my friend and mentor, Tina Elkowich, on today. And we are going to talk about this funny little device that sometimes you see me wearing. And first I want to introduce Tina a little bit, and then I'll have you introduce yourself.
Okay.
I've known Tina for many years, since the beginning of my pleasure exploration transformation journey. We met in a program all those years ago, and then afterwards she introduced me to Access Consciousness and became my facilitator and helped me through so many different things, and just was there like as such a great support. And I would love to talk about access consciousness because that's cool too, but we're not going to do that today. But eventually, someday, let's do that.
One rabbit hole at a time.
Right? I don't think they're ready for that one yet.
Oh, goodness.
But Tina has been such a support for me and all of the transformations that I've had in my life, either just like being a peer in a program or like also being a peer in my journey of transformation. So when we hire a facilitator, it's not like we're hiring somebody to be greater than us. We're hiring somebody to be there with us, call us out on, see our shit and call us out on it sometimes. And she knows that I have some shit, and I love having the people to say like, hey, what is that? So thank you for being there all these years, Tina, and thank you for coming on today. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit more?
Yeah. Well, gosh, thank you for everything that you said. And I feel the same. And I love that you said it's not about someone being greater than someone else. It really is about, partnering and being there for each other. And part of our human experience, we all walk through different trials in our lives. So I do call people out on their bullshit, but I do it in a really gentle way. So I don't even know where to begin. I had a fitness company for about 20 years, and that's where everything started for me. That's where all the questions started really formulating around all these sort of linear processes around eat this certain way, work out this certain way, and you get this certain result. And I was finding that not to be true. Even though my fitness program was great and people were getting results, there was always those few that I just could not figure out. They were doing all the right things. Yeah, and I was one of them too.
I would have been one of those.
Yeah, and I think you end up teaching the thing that you're trying to figure out at the same time, which was me. And so I went on to like look at different things like our emotional body. I did journey work. I did homeopathy. I'm definitely someone who's very inquisitive and gets curious about everything, including our own physiology, our biology, who we are. And so I've been on this journey, I feel like, since my 20s in discovery. And access consciousness was part of that, using tools to really break through some of the belief systems we have really fast. And then for me, what is true for me is that I tend to take something in, like I'll absorb it all really, like immerse myself, and I'll eat it up, but I bring people along with me while I'm doing it. So I've made friends on all these different playgrounds. And then when I feel like I've gotten to sort of a place where I can't expand anymore, or I've learned what I've learned, I shouldn't say should, but part of our evolution is that, like part of our growth in consciousness and our own beingness is to keep stretching. And when that stretch isn't there for me anymore, then I'm like, okay, what else? So that led me to Healy. And Healy is a playground that when we're talking about quantum, so Healy itself is a quantum sensor frequency device that What does that mean?
You just went like over.
What does that mean? Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll try to give you like a short version of what that means, and then we can maybe dive in a little deeper. The short version is this little wearable device is a bridge between our physiology, yeah, like fits in the palm of your hand, it says, is a bridge between our physiology, our biology, our energetic information field of us, because we're energetic beings. It's a bridge between all of that, all of who we are, to the quantum field, or the 0 point, or also referenced as the place where all possibility exists. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
We have this nice bridge that is bringing sort of all possibilities to us. And then in a practical way, how does that work? So I don't pretend to know quantum science, nor do I want to know quantum science. But there's the scientific proof and all of that, which we can talk about a little bit later. But basically, if you think of it in very simplistic terms, like when you're in your car and you turn on your radio, when you're attuned to a channel, when you're the signal, when you're like aligned with that signal, you hear the music, right? And you can dance and sing in your car and be all crazy. If you're off just a little bit, you just have all this static, which is very annoying, you know, if you're driving through the mountains and you just can't get it dialed in. So Healy really partners with us in creating a coherent signal, a coherent pathway of information that is like being when we are, you know, on that radio dial and we can hear the music. So it's doing that on all levels. It's doing that on a, you know, mind, body, spirit. It's working on all levels. So when we look at things from a holistic point of view, that's what Healy's doing. It's looking at all of us, not just the symptom of us. It's looking at all of us. And it's creating coherence, it's creating resonance with what it is that we're wanting to change in our lives. And it's partnering with you to do that.
Wow. So what I love about that is that it encompasses all of the systems. And let me shut this off. I thought I did. Whoops. And I want to start like really simply. So this is the little device that's called the Healy, right? Yes. And then what we do with it is use apps that come with it, like depending on the model that you purchase, and set a frequency. Like we can scan the system, right? Yeah. And it'll see what's like out of frequency, out of balance. Is that how it works?
Yeah. So there are different options with your Healy. So the one you're talking about is the resonance, and that scans. So it shows you your blind spots, basically. It's scanning your field and letting you know what is incoherent. You know, it's picking up what you need some help with. Mm-hmm. And so that's the resonance model that does that. Then the other ones are more like, you could say, I'm having trouble sleeping. So you hit the sleep frequency, and you know, that's going to aid with that. So one is more self-directed, and then the resonance is more, it has the ability to self-direct, but it has also the ability to scan. And that's what I love about it the most, is because it's showing, like, if you're not sleeping, again, we're treating a symptom, but what's underneath that? Mm-hmm. You know, like what is causing you not to sleep? So it's not, people have great results doing the sleep.
It's like weight loss, right? Because I have been on this journey. This has been the main one. Like I started working out and obsessing about food when I was 14 or something. And I would see, like, I would do this with my arm or my leg, and I'd be like, oh, I'm fat, right? I have this like stuff like when I'm 12, right? This is like, why am I fat here? Squish. Why is that is like in my mind how my body was. I'm like, that's how I saw it and stuff. Um, but then like, and then it goes throughout the years, and it's like, oh, this is causing this, and this food is causing that, and so my journey has been with
Mhm.
weight, and a lot of it, like the relationship with my body and the weight, and I would focus really heavily on I got to eat this way and I got to work out this way. But like really what's going on is something else underneath. Um,
Yeah.
and that's the thing that's out of balance and keeping me so focused on the weight. And then the more I put into that, the more weight I have, the more like the workouts and the food is not helping because
Yeah.
there's something else going on. And
Yeah.
that's what I've been loving about my Healy is 'cause, so I've had mine for like about maybe a month, and I have been addicted to it since I got it. It's so much fun. Um, but what I love about it is that it like I want to go straight. I'm going to run the weight app. I'm going to run the weight program today. And that's fine to do, right? Like cuz there's something in that frequency that's off. And also when I do the resonance thinking about the weight or the analysis thinking
Yeah.
about the weight, then all these other things show up like weight, I mean pure, and a frequency for balance, and a frequency for hormones. Like when we're focused on weight so much, there's like actually hormones may be off most of
Right.
the time, actually, a lot of the time. And then there's
Yeah.
just the thought
Especially for
of
women.
the
Yeah.
focus there. So all these different things show up and let me focus on that.
Yeah.
So that's something that I love is that it took my focus off of the problem that I focused on forever and shifted my point of view because I could see that there's other stuff going on, like see
Yes.
it, and the frequencies are running to balance it. So now I'm like, weight is just not that much of a thing anymore, actually.
And here is the mind-blowing thing about Healy. It's like opening Pandora's box,
Mhm.
right? When we talk about Healy, because it's working with you on an individualized, customized basis. So even if you and I are running the same program, if we're running Pure, which is part of the gold cycle programs in Healy, which is overall well-being, it's the foundation of Healy, our overall well-being. If we were both running that program, it's picking different frequencies for me than it's picking for you. There's a range of 144,000 different frequencies, and it's reading us in real time every 10 seconds. It's changing the frequency based on our own physiology, biology, all of that. So that is even more mind blowing. It's not like, oh, this is the frequency, everyone gets that frequency.
Yeah.
That would be counterintuitive to everything we're talking about. It's looking at someone as a whole and our individuality within it. The other pieces that you've spoken so beautifully to is when we're looking at whatever the thing is that we want to change in our lives, we have a very narrow perspective based on our own beliefs, experiences, everything else, that this is what it is. So typically with weight, it's, diet and exercise. That's what we've been told. And that does work for some people. That does work, right? And so that's where it gets really messy for us because it's like, well, it's working for this person, it's not working for me. And then we go into judgment around that. So the beauty of Healy and consciousness overall is it's not wrong, right, or this way, that way. It's all of it, So for some people, they can just hit that or, go on a fitness program, hit energy, and they're off and running and they're losing weight. For someone else, there may be something else going on. Like, and you spoke to hormones. I mean, that's the case a lot of times for women, that's what's going on, but it's not always. So it's this place where we come back to our own sovereignty, our own inner authority, and our own empowerment around our overall health and well-being,
Yes. Yes, that is actually the biggest gift of this right now is that if I've got something going on, like I have this cough, so I'm probably going to see like, I wonder what that's about, and then run a resonance later, or like, what is it? Is it a resonance? Am I calling it right?
When you're doing the scan,
Yeah, run a
yeah, it's
scan.
in there. So it's called the
Resonance
resonance.
analysis.
Yeah, and then there's the scan, the
Okay.
resonance scan. Yeah, because you can do a resonance scan or you can do an aura scan.
Yes, that aura scan we'll have to talk about someday, because I'm like, what is this about? I don't understand how that goes. But the coolest thing is that there's like this never ending places to get awareness about your body, and not just your body, but like your, like all of
Everything.
you, like everything that you encompass. um and
Yeah,
and it's like one frequency can balance so many different things. So
yeah.
it's fun, and I love to experiment. So I'll like run it, and then run a program, and then run it again, and then see what new shows up, because I'm
Yeah.
different now.
Yeah, because we're not static. We don't stay the same. We're continually interacting. Like everything is energy and has a frequency. So we're continually interacting. And we know that on a very basic level. Like you can walk into a room where someone is angry and screaming, and you feel that. I mean, they don't even have to be actually screaming and doing that. You can walk in when they're just like in the energy of that and feel it,
Hmm.
and no, this doesn't feel good right now, versus walking in and feeling like, wow, I feel like this feels inviting and nice. So we base, as beings, we read energy actually before we even use words or body language or anything like that. Energetically, we're reading things all the time. And so what I love about Healy is it's bringing us back to practicing
Hmm.
using that muscle in a more aware way.
Yeah, I
And
mean, think back to when you were a kid, right? You maybe didn't understand everything about language, but you knew when your mom was pissed, whether she was talking about it or not. You knew
right.
that you stay away right now, because it doesn't feel good in that room.
Yeah,
Or,
exactly. Exactly.
or you knew
Yeah.
when she's like totally doting on you and has so much love that like she could burst, and you just want to cuddle up and hug her, right? Like
Yeah.
you knew it when you were a little baby. You could feel all these things, and then you get older and start to like really read it.
Right.
And then of course, like we get
We
in
get in
our
our
heads
head.
about all the things as
Hmm.
we grow up, and that kind of goes away, but you can feel it. You know when your lover's pissed off. You know, guys, don't go home right now. You're gonna be really tired when you get there, because you could just go right to bed and not have to deal with
Well, and you hear that a lot, right? Like when people are around someone and they're like, I feel energetically drained.
it.
I feel exhausted from being with this person, right? And not the right or wrongness of that, just that energetically we do feel each other, and those fields can aliven us and they can also deplete us. And our bodies, with everything between our soils being depleted, toxins, our bodies struggle because everything that they need to be full of vitality isn't available like it was. And so
Yeah.
this is a new way of helping our bodies with their own innate ability.
Yeah. Alien technology, guys, are you ready for it? it's and so what I love, so what we were talking about before is the empowerment of it.
Yeah,
Actually feeling like, so I work with bodies and healing, and when I started to learn energy and went to massage school and learned like the inner workings of a body, and then the energetic workings of a body, and like actually that I have a capacity with healing.
yeah,
um I learned like that I can kind of like sense a system, and then see what needs to be, like what that system's asking for, and then just like give it, like be open to the energy flowing through, right? So I've learned a way to be with bodies and understand this. But then my clients have to come to me to get that, and I'm somehow have all the knowledge, and they can't have it. What's
yeah.
cool about the Healy is that this is something that does like something similar, but like way beyond what I do. It's like,
Yes
they're
and
like,
no.
tell you exactly the thing. And I'm just like, oh, here it is. Right. So there's like, you can go and get this from practitioners of energy. You can, like, this is available in different places. And what if you had this at home, which is fun for me because I don't know who does that. Like a lot of people, I know that when
Right.
I go to Colorado next week, I know some people who can play with me in that with our bodies. But like just having it in your house to tell you, like, give you information about, like, here's something that is out of balance and here's a solution.
Mhm.
Here's how you can balance. Run it just now, right now, for 3 minutes, for 12 minutes, just
Yeah.
so, like, there's different ways. So Tina, I think you're not hooked up to these things yet.
I'm not. I have mine on vibrate.
I love to
So
feel the
the
thingies.
microcurrent, yeah.
Yeah, I love to feel the microcurrent. So I run it specific programs with these little wires, and I feel it really intensely. But or not, because you could set how much you feel it.
Yeah,
But also you don't have to use these. So like if you don't want to like go to
right.
the supermarket like me and hooked up to
With
like
all the
wires because I want people to ask the funny like or look at me funny.
stuff.
Can
Oh,
you run it
girl.
without this and it vibrates and you can still feel the energy. It's just not like that. Like
Right.
those ab machines that crunch you up and do the thing. I love
That
that.
is kind of how the microcurrent feels. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that sensation.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually twinge your muscles or anything. You can just, it's just a feeling of a thing.
And it can, if you turn it all the way up, you'll be like, jumpy, but you don't turn it all the way up. Yeah, so there's two delivery methods with Healy. There's the microcurrent, which is what you're talking about. And then there's vibrate, where it's just vibrating like information into the field, similar to like homeopathy. So you have two different delivery methods with Healy. So that also, there's so much with it. And you can, like I was just going to say, the other part of the resonance is you have access to all these homeopathic remedies like Bach flower and materia medica, which is homeopathy. And you have the I Ching and you have Schuster salts and amino acids, so there's a whole other playground there that you can
Those
have.
I haven't even jumped into that playground yet.
Oh, girl. In the morning, I do the amino acids, which is similar to your vitamins. So
Mhm.
I just do it first thing in the morning and I vibrate it into my field. And I do the Schussler salts, which is like trace minerals, and vibrate into my field. And that's it for the day.
That's amazing. And then you don't buy supplements anymore? Because I have this thing.
No, well, no. So here's the thing, right? Like we all have our own mind thing. So I have some supplements for like going through menopause and
Mhm.
stuff, and there is a menopause frequency program. So I'm playing now with, okay, if I cut all that out and I just do the frequencies, and I like to be my own self experiment. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I was on a ton of supplements. Like it would take me forever in the morning. It was like a meal,
Yeah.
separating it all out and taking it. And now I'm vibrating it and I'm feeling good. So I was talking to someone around, I went through getting my blood work done and my lab work done, hormonal panels, and then had all the different supplements that came along with that. And I was listening to a call with Marcus Schumach, who is the founder creator of Healy,
Mhm.
and he's so fascinating because he is where science and spirituality meet. Like he's the embodiment of that. He is a quantum scientist and a monk. So he went to India to explore consciousness, and he's done the full gamut. So I love listening to him because he brings them both together because it's just who he is.
Wow.
And I was listening to him talk about like when you get your blood work done, it's a snapshot of that moment in time that you're deficient in this and this and this. But let's say the next day you're out in the sun all day. Well, now you're not deficient in vitamin D and you're good. But we do this thing where we just lock ourselves into this one moment and then we create a whole regimen based on it. So I like the idea that I can scan my body every morning, and what's there is there, depending on what I ate the day before, or drank or whatever. But it does also, like, it brings us back to a place where we do have it in our hand, that we can um, facilitate our own health and well-being. But it also couples so beautifully with all the other modalities. Naturopaths are using it, chiropractors are using it, um, fitness personal trainers are using it, running fitness programs while people are working out. Estheticians are using it alongside what they're offering. So it doesn't eliminate that. I mean, it can, like, if you don't do any of those things anyway, well, now you have something at your fingertips. And if you are working with someone, you have something that helps you in the intermittent, of that.
Yeah, so actually I use it with my clients.
Yeah.
I have one client, she loves to receive it. So now it's shifted our sessions, and this is what, like, pleasure first, we get on and she's like, please scan me, and what is up, and can you run the energy? Because, like, energy is energy. So even if, like, right now I'm running the Pure program, and if you're like, if your mind is open to it, like, if, like, your body may be receiving it even though your mind is not, if your body wants it. It doesn't mean like this program's running, so now you have to have this energy. But I have it running on Pure, so if you're willing to receive it, then you and your body are receiving it right now while we're on this call. And so I run it during my clients' sessions, and she's like, the places we're able to go is a lot farther. And then afterwards, it's like all these things kind of like line up in different ways. So I'm just noticing with her that she receives it so fully that it's a huge contribution in her coaching sessions, because, like, the frequencies are in alignment and with, like, the things that we end up talking about. And then it goes off onto areas where we didn't know we were going to talk about, because that's what came up when the frequencies aligned. So it's been really fun in that way in my coaching business. The cool thing, like, that's because, like, we don't have to be in person to be receiving this, and we don't maybe have to have it. So I wanted to speak to that, and, like, how it contributes to different modalities. For me, since I work with bodies and I scan them, it's fun for me to be like, cool, this is where I sense something. I wonder what Healy says.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I haven't heard that before, so that's awesome. Yeah.
Where you get to, like, play with checking myself. Yeah, about like, okay, well, what is this? What am I in alignment with? What does this see? And how can this contribute to the energies that are going to be run?
I always tell people the beautiful side effect of Healy, if Healy has a side effect, is that, for instance, if you're running a program, the information's coming into your information field, and you may or may not be aware of what's going on. That's, the reality of our lives and how we interact. But what starts to happen is just what you spoke about, is all of a sudden you get the aha and an awareness, because it's shifting that, and it's bringing stuff to the surface. It's bringing it into your consciousness. So the amount of times that people message me, not only with, like, oh my God, this just happened to me, that might be a very physical thing that they can see or feel. They're also, like, percolating like popcorn with all these things that didn't occur to them before, And so what you're speaking to, even as doing it as a coach, is that, because all of a sudden now they are in resonance with something that they couldn't get to before, And even as a facilitator or coach, when you're helping someone see something from a different perspective, a different point of view, that can be very challenging if they're very contracted and they really don't want to see a different perspective or point of view. So Healy has this beautiful way of, like, opening all the doors and letting some air in where we're not so contracted, and closed off, and a different possibility, because when it comes from us, it's way more powerful than someone else telling us
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that. So when we were talking in the beginning about you calling me out on my shit, it's not like Tina was like, "Oh, this is what I see." It's like she asked this really I don't know, not really crafted, like a great question to have me like, "What?
Scramble your brain.
What?" Wait, what is that? And then question myself so that I come to the information. Um, so that just speaks to the same, like in facilitation, we have this way of like getting around it so that you can see your own shit. But in the getting around it, what we're doing is calling you out on your shit, right? It really kind of like opens the door to here's a viewpoint that maybe you weren't seeing before.
Yeah, yeah,
in a really roundabout kind of way.
yeah. And
And
I
it
can
can
even
be
use
really
that with.
obvious, like
I
running
can use
the
that even.
yeah. What's that?
I was going to say I can even use that with Healy, right? Like, are you willing to be curious? Are you willing to play? Are you willing to have your own experience and come to your own choice?
Yeah.
That's that's the invitation of Healy. And then from there, you can, you know, you make your own. You come to your own place of like delight with Healy or not for me, right? But it's
Yeah.
based on your experience. And when we get stuck in our head, like I have to know all the science, I have to know like every little thing,
Yeah.
it keeps limiting our possibility. When we come at it from a place of curiosity, like, wow, okay, this sounds interesting. I wonder, I
Mhm.
wonder.
Yeah, and that's the
What
same as
would it
me with my weight problem, you know. I was so focused in and like because I couldn't see all these other things going on and just seeing my weight and the scale, there was
Yeah.
like so much limitation in that I couldn't make shifts. But like once we open up and expand and ask the questions and get in wonderment, then it's like, oh, okay. So what's really going on here?
Well,
Okay.
and you could even see like your physiology change, right? Like when we were talking about it, there's this heaviness that doesn't feel good. And when we start to get into curiosity, it
Mhm.
feels more fun and light. And that's really innately who I think we are. That's the essence of who we are, this
Mhm.
joy and this exploration. And I just look at life that way. Like if
Yeah.
you're going to be here, why not, right? Like
Yeah.
you teach a lot about pleasure, which I love, because if you don't have pleasure and you can't be in the beauty of this life and the experience of this life, and you're just trying to survive it, um,
Yeah.
I mean, and that again is a place that Healy is so beautifully bringing something to you where you can expand out of that contracted state and
Mhm.
step into something that you really don't know. Like I don't know a lot about quantum science. I know enough to be dangerous. That's about it. So I don't pretend to know. I do know if we look at it even from a place of the planet, and for all of us as human beings on the planet, it's like the butterfly effect.
Mhm.
So if you don't feel good in any area, whether it's emotionally, physically, spiritually, that ripples out. But when we have overall well-being and our vitality is alive within us, that ripples out. Our relationships change, our interactions with people change. And then that just ripples out across the planet. And right now, Healy's in over 40 countries worldwide. And there is a Facebook page called the Healy Experience. And I think now there's over 27,000 people on that page. And they're all people that just got a Healy and they're just posting whatever their experience, just what their experience is with Healy. And what I love about it is because it's global, these are people that are coming from all different cultures, all different kinds of religion, like all walks of life are showing up on this page and just sharing their experience of Healy.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that ripple effect happened, right? Um, I want to see, can we talk about some of the like physical things or like obvious things that we've
Yeah,
tried?
yeah,
Like you told me
absolutely.
one about like your labs that you got.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, can you
That
tell
was,
about that and then I'll share one of mine.
yeah. So I had just gotten my Healy. And prior to that, you heard me talk about I had some blood work and hormonal panels done with my doctor. And I had an appointment already set with him to see him to go over it all. And in the meantime, like actually just a few days before my appointment with him, my Healy arrived. So I was so excited, do the scan, do all this stuff. And bacteria came up. And I'm like, that is so not sexy. Bacteria. But partly too, I was in my head thinking, well, how am I going to know with bacteria? So I just ran it because I'm like, okay. So I ran the frequencies for that. So I did it that day. And then the next morning I ran it again on my way going to my doctor. And when I got there, he's going over my lab work and he said, okay, so first we need to start here because you have a bacteria infection. And my eyes probably were just like, what? Like for real? So, he's doing all of his testing and looking at what supplements. And then he's like, oh, it doesn't look like you have a bacteria infection anymore. So you must have resolved that. So we'll just move on. And he went through other parts of my blood work. And I think I was just in like shell shock. Like, did this just all really happen? Like, did the Healy just do that? And I think that's the most common thing I hear when people have their first experience with Healy is like, was that really Healy? Because we're like, whoa, the magic of it, right? And then you have more and more experiences, and then you're like, yeah, of course it's my Healy. You start to form a bond and trust with your Healy. So that was my very first experience, and I love that the universe orchestrated it that way because it was such a I couldn't, you can't make that crap happen. Like it was just so random that it happened to be right before going in,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Like to make it so obvious, like you don't need the 2x4. Here you go.
Yeah, yeah, here you go. Here's all your evidence and proof, lady.
That part where we go in resistance and here you
Yeah,
see it
yeah.
right now. I love when that happens.
Oh my God, exactly. I'll definitely take the feather over the 2x4.
Yes. um, so for me, it wasn't like testing and seeing those things, but so I was just experimenting with different programs, and I wanted to do the hormone. So I have the awareness that my hormones have been affecting my weight for a while, and I've had like, I have a daughter, and then I've had like different kind of hormonal issues throughout the years. So I ran the hormone one, and I didn't like, I was like, okay, I know that the Healy contributed to this, and I don't know if I like it or not because I ran the hormone one and I started my period a week early. It's just like I'm typically kind of regular now,
Yeah.
and like mostly regular. And I'm like, I ran it at night, I think, before bed, and then in the morning, I'm just like, what? So mine like kicked in this fast, and just like that was to show me, like, okay, well, this did something. Who knows what?
Yeah.
But it did something in my field that created a shift. So it's not like I have this attachment, like now everything's balanced, now everything's amazing. But it showed me that there was like some kind of shift in my field from running the energies of the Healy.
Right.
And then also this other thing that's happened on this trip that I went on. So I do the carnivore diet, which is like 0 carb, just eat meat. And I was on a trip, and that diet lasted like a week into it. It was a 2-week trip. I did good. I did really good for the first week, and then I lost my mind. And I just like, I'd be like keto one day, and then whatever I want the next day, and like
It's
totally
funny
just
the games.
yeah.
The games we play. It's so
I
funny.
know. But I got off track, and typically when I do that, it's like if I eat one meal, my weight will shoot up like um 8 pounds by the next day. And then and then it takes me 2 weeks to actually like my body to balance and recover from that. That's
Yeah.
how I've experienced it in the past. But I was like scanning my system every morning and like running different things like allergies and food sensitivity programs, or the weight one came up a lot. And I think, like, just me being who I am, the weight one is like my ideas of weight is what it was talking, like what it was playing at, and not like my actual physical weight. So
Exactly. Yeah.
because I was eating bad, and then I'm like, I'm gonna get fat, like these ideas we have in our head because I ate a lasagna or something.
That's it.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. Different ones. And I was able to like, it took me a whole week to put on the 8 pounds. So like it still happened, but it went like, it wasn't like the one meal shot me out of the thing. And then it didn't take me 2 weeks to recover. The balance started to happen almost right away. And I know that that's a contribution from the Healy, because like that's where I'm like running these frequencies and shifting my point of view about
Yeah.
all of it. So that's really fun just to experiment with. So like with my diet, it's all an experiment now. It's not like I have to eat this way because this,
Right.
but it's like, if I eat this way, what does that create for me? And now it's more like this playful thing, like, okay, if I eat this way and I run this frequency, then what happens? So it becomes like this really playful game for me.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it, right? Like in what you're speaking to is it's not the magic pill, right? Like there can be results that happen like that, and we see it all the time. And then there's things that we've been struggling with for a long time, and those, we're unraveling and getting awareness, and it's a journey, So that's the beauty of Healy
Yeah,
is
it could be a magic pill, and it could just be like another place to play and get information
yeah,
to keep
yeah,
learning from.
yeah.
um,
Or people that have been on long-standing medications, that have an addictive element to them, as well as, their bodies have relied on it for a long time, and watching them slowly come off of those medications as the body is able to recover, versus it's not like the next day, just stop everything and you're going to be great. So it is looking again at like you as an individual, the whole picture of you, and then what is the most easeful way. And that when we can do something in an easeful way, right? Like without jarring the body or forcing the body, which we do all the time when we're trying to do these different diets and different things, we're approaching our body from this force of like, this is what we're going to do, and it's going to make you do this and have this result. So
my
it's
body is really rebellious.
yes. The will of our spirit, and then our bodies are like, oh God, here she goes again.
So what I wanted to talk about now, well, I have a question about where did it go? Oh, well, so there's one thing that I wanted to share too. In this time right now, the empowerment that the Healy gives you, there's so much fear going on about health and not having the control, or like that this virus, right, can come in and like take everything away from you. There's just like a lot of fear going on right now. So I wanted to mention that in the empowerment place of like, what if you had this device at home that could like give you some way of feeling empowered about your own health?
Yes.
And so that's what I'm loving about having my Healy now. I just went on the trip, and everywhere we went, like, okay, so the states don't understand that there's a pandemic, and I'm one of them. So like, or they just are in a place where they don't care anymore. Like everywhere I went was full. It was like tourism is fully alive. Like
Wow.
packed
Wow.
full of people. And so I did an experiment, like, and one of the days I was like having a scratchy throat, and my sinuses were acting up. Of course, I was eating the foods, right, that weren't working for me. But I was like, okay, so what can work today? And like the immune system popped up. So I
Mm.
ran that, and then allergies. Um, and then so it's just kind of like this place of empowerment. Like you have this device that's like, okay, well, this is what's off, and here we can work on it now, whether
Yeah.
you get sick or not. Like you're having something at home to run in a contribution to your health.
Yeah,
um
and even on an emotional level, like a lot of
mhm.
people have a lot of anxiety now,
Oh,
stress.
that's what I'm using it for right now during this move.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have like relax programs, you have the anxiety program, you have a way to help you navigate all of that,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
through it all. So yeah, you said something I wanted to touch on, but it went ping.
I know,
We're
right?
both like, this is early for us now.
I know. Isn't that the magical thing about conversations, though? It's like, oh, this. Do I interrupt now? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go?
right, right.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
come up and you can just interrupt with it later.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
But so
Oh,
how?
I know what it was.
Oh,
I
what
know
is
what it
it?
was. Because you touched on this earlier too. So, um, with the residents, you have the ability to create a group program. So you can like scan an individual, you can have a group and create a group program. You can scan plants, your animals. So many people use Healy with their animals, and that's like a whole other conversation of amazingness. So you have these abilities to like do a house scan, so realtors are using that with what they do. But when you do a group scan, and this is the place where we can collaborate and come together and create impact. So people were running the group program for the police department when all of that was blowing up. People are running it for our government and all the politics and everything that's going up. And these are all places where we do have a level of feeling disempowered because we
Mhm.
don't know how to create change with any of that, and we don't, as an individual person, we don't know how to make impact to change circumstances like that. But with Healy, again, it brings you back to that place because you can run these group programs for overall harmony and cohesiveness and congruency. And so it's beautiful. So you can just be home. People are running it for the earth overall.
Yeah, that's such a gift. Like on a big level, to just
Yeah,
like be able to have an impact and feel like you're being a contribution in some way when you
right.
like maybe you don't know how, but like I can contribute this energy. I
And
can
that's what
contribute
Marcus
this
is.
idea that I'm being a contribution.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And that was what created Healy. Like Marcus Schumach, the founder of Healy, the parent company is Time Waver. And that's been around for 15 plus years. And those were really cumbersome devices that doctors and licensed practitioners use. But his dream was for everyone to be able to have access at all times and be able to contribute. Not only, like, he'll talk about how we choose Healy for ourselves, right? We look at like, what is it going to do for me?
Yeah.
And then very quickly you open up and you realize, wow, this was never even really just about me. This was about everything, the planet. And when he talks, his vision is so big in regards to that
Mm.
and what it's creating as a vibration and possibility on the planet. So
It's beautiful. Yeah, because like even now, I don't know if you have one running, but I have this running, and it could like it's not like me and it's not you or everybody watching. It can be that, and it can be so much bigger. Like
yeah,
this energy is now running on the planet.
yeah.
from me. And then everybody that has a Healy also is running an energy that has a balance in whatever way it's necessary for the planet. So
Yeah.
it's really fun to play with on the bigger level of contribution.
Yeah. And right now there's a worldwide promo going on, which they've never done a worldwide one before. So the company Healy itself is a little over a year and a half, maybe coming up on 2 years now. Started out of Germany and then it's kind of moved around the globe. It just launched in the US May 1st. So right now there's a global promo going on where there's really significant discounts with Healy until September 6th. So
yes, I got mine at $1,000 off, guys, on this the
launch.
the US promo launch. And
Yeah.
now it's the same deal
Yeah.
for like worldwide. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, and they haven't done it before. So it's normally what they do is when they're opening a different country, they do a launch for the country, and there's a promo for that period of time. And then, so Europe hadn't seen a promo in a long time, and so they were kind of pushing for something, and they decided, well, if we're going to do it, let's do it globally. And so it was a surprise to us all, but it's a very nice surprise.
Yeah, there was one person, the promo is until midnight on the 6th.
No, so it's based on Germany's clock. So I believe that's 4 p.m. Mountain time, and then 3 if you're on the Pacific coast, and then what is that, 6 if you're on Eastern time. Yeah, so it all goes by the Germany clock.
If you're watching this now, because this is going to be like a timeless thing where I put in multiple places. So if you're watching this before the 6th, September 6th, 2020.
Yeah, there you go.
Then there's a promo right now that's really fun. And if you're watching it later, don't be jealous. Just check in still and see what promo is available then or what's going on with it then. Because, there's always more possibilities. Something may happen. Right now, if you are interested or curious, then now's the time to like reach out and ask more questions and jump on and having it, because the sale is like kind of stellar.
Yeah, it's actually incredible for everything that you get, like we talked about, the homeopathy, the Bach flower, like everything, the learning program, the job program, the sleep program, like it's endless.
Right. And for me, the peace of mind and ease of this. Like, I don't have to book a session. I don't have to find the person. I don't have to wonder and be confused and not have the answers. I can actually have them. So that's the bigger, for me, thing. And then it's really cool because maybe you don't have to buy supplements.
Right. And I mean, the playground gets endless. I've been doing the heart chakra. So I've been running those frequencies while I'm meditating, doing Joe Dispenza's heart meditation. And I tell you what, I feel like I just leave the planet. I don't even know what happens when I do that. And then I started playing with it even in yoga, like doing heart openers and running the heart chakra. Like there's so many ways that you can use Healy.
Right. Play with it during your pleasure practice. I mean, what? How big can orgasms get?
When you're talking about pleasure, I mean, when your vitality is full and overflowing, right? Like, then pleasure is a wonderful place to be.
Yeah, or you know what is out of balance when you're having these struggles, right? Like, what if somebody who has ED, what's out of balance there? How can I contribute to that problem with this frequency? Like, what frequency would work here? Those other things in your pleasure, if you're not meeting the pleasures that you like, then how can we contribute and balance things so that you can have that? So play it with it in pleasure too.
I know we haven't even, this is what happens. We just
I
go like
love,
a minute. We could be on here for days, but we haven't even talked about that it's a social selling model, that
yes.
healing
Yeah.
itself.
So I wanted to talk about that. So, and how does that work? You know, because like with, I was curious. I needed to play with it first to be
Yeah.
like, is this something that I want to promote? And obviously, I'm here now wanting to promote and talk about this gift on the planet now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so tell us what that means, what that
What
looks.
that looks like.
Mhm.
So you can get Healy and just have your Healy and, you know, be with your Healy doing your life, or you can have Healy and you can also be a part of the business opportunity that's provided through Healy, which is the social selling model. You know, also I think in the past referred to as an LLM. Um, I don't like that term because multi-level, it doesn't even really, uh, it doesn't match what this is with Healy. It's a very collaborative team building business. Um, so you have an opportunity with Healy. So Marcus, when he first was launching, he was looking at how do we get this out into the market to as many people as we can, you know, that are struggling with their health and emotions, whatever. This isn't something you could just throw on Amazon and be like quantum set. Like you couldn't do that. It wouldn't be like ordering a book on Amazon. So there's some product knowledge that you need around Healy, like all of what we've been talking about today.
Mhm.
But more importantly for him, because he's such a heart-centered person, he wanted it to be person to person. You know, he wanted it to be where it was building community, where it was real people talking to real people. He didn't want to spend money on marketing and doing all these other things. He wanted it to be, you know, people having their experience, sharing their experience with other people. So that's how come they use the model of social marketing with Healy, and it's working, right? It's all over the globe. So you now have access to having a worldwide business.
Mhm.
You know, so you're not just limited to the area in which you live or the country even in which you live. Now this is a global business that you have at your fingertips. It's also in its very, well, it's funny, it's in its beginning stages and then not at the same time, which also makes it a little bit different from most startup type businesses. One, because they have Time Waiver that's been around for 15 years, and that's the technology that's used in Healy. So tried and true. They have the science, they have the case studies, all of that, which is why it's cleared by the FDA here, you know, for pain and arthritis and all those kinds of things. But they also, I just totally lost my thought.
You were saying
I am running the concentration
that it
program.
was it was new and then not also not
Oh, thank you.
new.
Yeah, new and not new. Um, what's typical with most startups is they're trying to get funding, right? Investors to fund the project. So there's that sort of risk involved with a startup if they're going to make it or not make it. Christian, try to remember how to pronounce his last name. I think it's Hamper. Kristen Hamper is the investor behind Healy, and he's a billionaire. I don't know how many times over, but more importantly than that, he only invests in green projects, consciousness type projects for the planet, and
Mhm.
he's the backer behind Healy. So there's not that sort of risk involved where they have loans out and all of that to try to fund Healy. He's the backer. And then you have that, you know, they have the case studies, it's tried and true through the Time Waiver practitioners. So, but what does make it a startup is it's a category creating device. Like there's nothing else like it out there. And it's only been around for a short period of time now. So getting on board now is like getting on the train, you know, before, like if you could have done that before Google or Apple became what they were, you know, the opportunity is like everything is so beautifully aligned for that to be a huge contribution financially if you wanted to go that route with Healy.
Yeah, so I want to say, like as a coach, if there's other coaches on here, because there's lots of you in my group, what I have noticed is that my clients are so interested in this once they start using it on them, and then they want their own. And so it only makes sense. It's like I signed up for pure romance, right? It's like my clients want a sex toy. And so now, like when they're wanting to actually have this empowerment in their hands instead of having to wait for their session with you, they can have it in the meantime to support their growth in the middle of being with you.
Yeah.
Then they want one. So the having this as a business, like a side business or a contribution to your business, it's not like one replaces the other. It's like this is a supplementation, another income stream,
Yeah.
another way to support your clients. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
speak to that in how I have learned to use it on
Yeah.
the side of business and contribution to clients, and a contribution to myself and my finances for me and my daughter. So there's all these different aspects to like where Healy can be a contribution.
Right. Yeah, and people are using it as a standalone business.
Mhm.
That's what they're doing, and then people are also coupling it within their business as another stream of income,
Yeah.
and another way to support, you know, the work that they're doing. So, yeah,
Yeah.
again, so much with Healy, we could have a whole other conversation around that, and like who it's attracting. Like it's attracting really people of, you know, incredible talents and influencers and biohackers. And I mean, it's just across the board, you know, naturopaths. So many practitioners are a part of Healy, which has also made it a very beautiful way for us to integrate, because they're teaching us too from that perspective of a practitioner and how to use Healy. And then there's also the simplicity of Healy, you know,
Mhm.
for just the everyday person. So
Yeah. Yeah. So what I want to say is, since there's a promo right now,
yeah.
how do people, so do you want to share how people contact you when they're interested, if they're seeing this and they're interested?
Yeah, so I would say if you're watching this, I just tell people contact the person, you know, that you have the connection with. Contact that person, and then they'll be able to walk you through all the steps. You know, with it being a social selling model, that's the part that we want to do differently. We want to do it in integrity. We want to, you know, do that in community and supporting each other. So just reach to the person who invited you. So if someone sent you this recording, you know, reach back to them. If you're here in Holly's community, reach out to Holly, you know, and yeah.
Yeah, so if you are curious about the Healy and you want to learn more, you want to order one now, I'm actually going to put a link to order in the comments in the Facebook group under this video. And if you're interested in the business opportunity, then, you know, feel free to reach out to me in a private message uh, on Facebook, Holly Lotus, or email me, holly@shamelessexplorations.com. And you know, if you want to talk with Tina and you know, this serious collaboration, right?
Yeah.
If you want to talk with Tina and that makes you more comfortable, like she has something that she spoke to that you want to, then reach out to her. Her, you know, her information will be in the group also. Um, Her name is Tina Elkowicz. I mean, if we didn't say that already, you can
Yeah.
find her too. There is so much that can be gained from just playing with your energy field, playing with a Healy, playing with the idea of having the empowerment, um, and just asking questions. So I want to invite you to just like, if you're curious, ask more questions.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's perfect. If we lead from curiosity, then it's amazing, the doors that open and what gets created in our lives from being willing just to be curious. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean yes or no. It's just curiosity. And yeah. So the other piece is that on the business side of it, and not even just the business side, but the community of Healy itself, because it is bringing in like so many amazing people. Like one of my colleagues is an epigenetics coach, and I'm just learning so much from him, around that. So there's overall I am, because people have all these different modalities. We've all played with 101 things, and then we start sharing. So I think about the money I've paid to even belong to mastermind groups, that I'm just like, oh my God, like you get a Healy and then, like it's so kind of silly when I think about it, but it's the community itself is beautiful. And so many people right now feel really alone and not connected and don't have community. So that in and of itself is a beautiful gift that comes alongside Healy.
Yeah. So you actually have communities. If
Yeah.
people are curious, where
Yeah.
can they go to just like join something and learn a little bit more? What's that one
Yeah.
called?
So the Facebook page is called Quantum Evolution Worldwide. And that kind of gives you some general information. Like there's Bruce Lipton, Dr. Joe Dispenza. So there's lots of different information that's speaking to what we've been speaking to today. For people that really this was something new and they're not quite getting it, you can get on that page, and there's some testimonials on that page. And we've just started growing it. Like it launched here in May. I think maybe that page I put up sometime in June. So it's a growing community. And then from there, depending if you want to play with Healy, if you just want to be a customer and get your Healy, we have another page that's called Your Life Frequencies. And that's for people who have a Healy, where they can learn all the different ways. Like we talked about, I use it with meditation, or you can use it in yoga. So it becomes this playground in another community. And then people who are wanting to have a Healy and also do the business, then we have another page to support that. And we do team calls, and we share our gifts, because it really is not about one person. It's about us all shining and coming together, and then what gets created from that, and how much impact can we create from that. So
Yeah, what kind of impact can we create?
I know, don't you love that question?
Great, thank you. Is there anything else that you want to share about, or ways to contact, or informations?
Not off the top of my head. We can put the information maybe in the chat or somewhere with this recording, so that people.
I would say let's put it in the comments in the Facebook group.
Okay.
Those like the links to those groups and a description of what the group is for.
Yeah, perfect.
Don't have randoms like joining.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I'm totally available for people for questions, more information. There's a video of like a live blood analysis where you can see like the actual, blood, what it looks like, and then an hour after running Healy, what happened. Like if you're interested in more science, if you're interested in just overall what's possible with Healy, I'm totally available. I know Holly is as well. And
Tina has really gone down the rabbit hole of learning the information, and I go down the rabbit hole of like experimentation.
Yeah, well, you heard me at the beginning. I immerse myself, and that's what happened. I totally immerse myself.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, Tina, this is like, you really put yourself in it and get so much, like such a powerhouse in like learning the thing that you're so excited about. And then it becomes like this huge invitation of like, I want to know what is you know, because it's like so exciting in your world.
And you know what's been for me, what has been the most beautiful, exciting piece of it. I mean, I can't even say the most, but part of that too is all these people, like you've heard me in the beginning say, I've been on these different playgrounds and I sort of collect my little tribe as I go. And now to bring them all together on one playground where they're all getting to know each other, and then they're introducing me to their friends and different, that has just been such a, orgasmic type of experience for me. My heart just like, because I've always wanted, like, oh, you should know this person, you should meet that person, like this would be so amazing. And there's never really been the container or the vehicle for me to be able to bring everyone together the way that I can with Healy.
Yay, that's so exciting. Yeah, it was so fun to see some of the old faces that in from different programs that we've met together, and then others that you've talked about or from like these different places. It's so fun to like be part of that group where everybody's like
together.
Oh, now you know? No.
You're like, you don't know that I know you, but I know you.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I've seen you before.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much for having me on. This is so much fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on and sharing your wisdom and just playing with me and sharing about the Healy. There's so much, seriously, we could go on forever, so much to share. And I thank you for giving us a little bit of it.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm excited you're going to be in Denver, like what, next week?
I know, such a interesting choice to move so quickly. I'm a week into this idea, and I just finished step number 650 or something, and now I'm on to the next. Like,
yeah. Every time I talk to you, every time I talk to you, something new and amazing is happening. But I was very delighted to hear you were moving to Denver, and you're going to be like up the street from me. So how does it get better than that?
Yes, I'm so looking forward to playing more. So thank you. Yeah, excited for the new things.
Oh, I think you froze.
Oh, did I freeze?
Oh, there you are.
Okay, good.
My end.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, honey.
Yes, thank you. And I will talk soon. And I really appreciate you being here and playing.